Emotion is the first betrayal. It reveals what reason seeks to hide. Every flash of anger, every tremor of fear, every flicker of desire maps your inner world for those who know how to read it. In history, the greatest strategists, Machiavelli above all, understood this truth long before psychology even gave it a name. The man who can conceal his feelings becomes untouchable. The man who cannot control them becomes exposed, predictable, and weak. Emotion is not the enemy. It is information. It shows your intentions, your fears, and your ambitions. But in the wrong hands, this information becomes a weapon. Anger displayed too soon can undo months of careful strategy. Fear glimpsed for a moment can shift power in a room. Desire expressed before the time can invite manipulation. Those who master emotion, however, are not slaves to it. They are its architects. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must act always from calculation. To rage publicly, to despair before enemies, or to express love recklessly, is to surrender authority. Yet, he did not advocate the suppression of feeling. Suppression is fragile. It cracks under pressure. Instead, he taught mastery, the ability to experience emotion fully, but to choose what the world sees. A flash of warmth might disarm. A controlled hint of anger might intimidate. Vulnerability, when deployed carefully, can invite trust. Emotion becomes theater, not confession. The mastery of emotion begins with observation. Every interaction is a test. When someone insults you, they are not attacking your reputation. They are testing your control. If you react, they learn your triggers. If you remain calm, you disarm them. The one who observes without revealing becomes the mirror in which others see themselves. Their aggression, their panic, their ambition, all reflected back, becomes a tool for you to wield. But observation alone is not enough. You must separate reaction from response. Reaction is immediate, uncontrolled, and dangerous. Response is deliberate, strategic, and empowering. While others are swept away by anger, fear, or desire, the Machiavellian mind waits. It calculates the timing, the method, the consequence. Composure is not indifference. It is dominance. A calm person unsettles those who feel too much. Their agitation is amplified by your stillness. The next step is discipline. You must know your triggers as precisely as a swordsman knows the weaknesses of his blade. What words provoke you? What situations inflame you? By cataloging these, you defend your vulnerabilities before others can touch them. Then comes delay. A pause before responding is a battlefield of its own. Every second gives you control over perception. Every moment of silence adds power to your eventual action. Machiavelli knew that the world watches faces more than actions. Your composure sets the rhythm of the room. When you are calm, others stabilize. When you crack, they scatter. Emotional control is not about hiding humanity. It is about choosing when and how to display it. A smile, a sigh, a glance, all gestures are instruments in the orchestra of influence. But awareness and discipline are only the beginning. Because even when you know your triggers, the world will still test you. Next, you must learn detachment, the shield that keeps your mind unshaken, even under fire. Awareness of your emotions is powerful, but without detachment, even the most disciplined mind can be compromised. Detachment is not coldness, apathy, or denial. It is freedom, the ability to experience the world fully without letting it own you. The Machiavellian strategist understood that attachment is a hidden chain. The more you cling to outcomes, approval, or even people, the more vulnerable you become. Detachment breaks these chains and allows you to act with clarity and purpose. Attachment is a subtle weakness. The person attached to praise becomes predictable. The one attached to fear becomes paralyzed. The one attached to love becomes vulnerable to manipulation. Detachment does not eliminate feeling, it reframes it. You still experience joy, anger, or desire, but these emotions no longer dictate your actions. They become data, energy, and fuel for your strategy rather than a leash that controls you. The first lesson of detachment is perspective. Imagine your life as a story, each person a character, every challenge a scene. You are both participant and observer. You care deeply, but you are not consumed. You feel, yet you do not react immediately. You see patterns where others see chaos. You notice the subtle triggers that make others lose control. A glance, a tone, a hesitation, while your own rhythm remains unbroken. Detachment allows calm in chaos. When others panic, you wait. When they rage, you remain composed. When they celebrate, you observe quietly. This doesn't mean passivity. Instead, you act with precision at the exact moment that maximizes advantage. Power often hides in patience. Those who rush into action, driven by uncontrolled emotion, hand the game to others. Those who pause, guided by detachment, play the game with foresight. Yet detachment is not the absence of empathy. You must understand and feel others' emotions fully to guide, respond, and influence effectively. But unlike most, you do not become a prisoner to their energy. Their anger doesn't inflame you. Their fear doesn't paralyze you. You remain the center, the axis around which the world spins. Machiavelli's lessons extend here. The leader who appears calm and unshakable sets the emotional tone for everyone around him. Your stillness is contagious. People begin to rely on it. Your calm becomes the standard. Your balance becomes the law. In detachment, you transform from reactive participant to architect of the environment. You shape outcomes not through force, but through unshakable presence. Practicing detachment requires daily discipline. Observe your impulses, notice your desires, map your reactions. Identify where attachment weakens you, and practice releasing it. Detachment does not mean abandoning joy or love. It means interacting without neediness. It means experiencing life fully but never letting your stability depend on external forces. The detached mind also reads others with clarity. While they are swept away by passion, you see patterns, predict choices, and anticipate moves. Their chaos becomes information. Their intensity becomes opportunity. And when you finally act, you do so from a position of complete control, not reaction, not emotion, but deliberate, calculated intent. Detachment is powerful, but even the most centered strategist must project strength outward. The next step in mastery is the mask of composure, the art of showing calm, control, and authority, even when the world rages around you. Detachment gives you freedom from emotional chaos, but to wield power effectively, you must project mastery outward. The mask of composure is not deception, it is protection. It is the deliberate, disciplined construction of an image so seamless that the world cannot read your inner state unless you allow it. Machiavelli understood that perception is reality, and in power the way others perceive you determines your influence. The mask begins with awareness. You must know your triggers, weaknesses, and habits with precision. What words enrage you? What circumstances make you defensive? What praise tempts your ego? These vulnerabilities are like cracks in armor. The mask of composure covers them, not by hiding them entirely, but by controlling what leaks. You decide when, where, and how emotion appears. A composed face is not empty. It is a canvas. It conveys authority, confidence, and stability while hiding the turbulence beneath. When others see calm in the midst of chaos, they instinctively rely on it. When they see composure under attack, they are unnerved. Composure is psychological leverage. Your stillness becomes the anchor around which others orient themselves. But composure is not coldness. A skilled strategist knows when to display warmth, humor, or subtle concern. Each gesture, each glance, each inflection is intentional. You smile to disarm hostility, nod to encourage trust, or remain silent to invite confession. The mask of composure turns human interaction into theater, and you are the director. Your audience believes in the sincerity of what they see, even while every display is carefully orchestrated. The power of this mask lies in control of tempo. While others react impulsively, you set the rhythm of the room. When people rush, you pause. When they shout, you remain measured. When they argue, you observe. In every interaction, you transform chaos into opportunity. Their reactions become predictable. Their impulses, your advantage. Constructing the mask requires practice. Begin in small interactions. Hold your posture, tone, and expressions deliberately. Observe your body's natural reactions and gently override them. Every pause, every controlled response, every measured gesture reinforces the mask. Over time, it becomes instinctive. You are no longer acting composed, you simply are. Machiavelli emphasized that rulers must appear steadfast even in peril because appearances influence reality. If the prince trembles, his subjects tremble. Likewise, in everyday power dynamics, composure sets the emotional tone. People mimic what they perceive. If you remain calm, they follow your lead. If you crack, they follow their fear. The mask is a silent authority, a visual and emotional signal that your control is absolute. The mask of composure is also a tool for observation. While others are consumed by their feelings, you watch. Every micro-expression, every subtle shift in tone or posture becomes data. You read intention, weakness, and desire without revealing your own. You remain the fixed point, unshakable, unreadable, and commanding. But composure alone is not enough. Even with detachment and a mask, you must learn the next level, the art of emotional influence, where you turn observation into subtle guidance and strategy into movement. Composure shields you. Detachment frees you. But true power comes when you turn observation and control into influence. The art of emotional influence is the ability to guide the feelings, thoughts, and actions of others without force, to make them move in the direction you choose, as if by their own will. Machiavelli understood that the world is driven more by emotion than logic. Those who grasp this become architects of human behavior. Emotional influence begins with empathy as strategy. You must feel what others feel, but not as a victim of their energy. Instead, read their desires, insecurities, and fears as information. Notice the subtle cues, a trembling hand, a shift in tone, a fleeting glance. These are openings, windows into their unguarded intentions. Once you understand what moves them, you can guide them gently and deliberately. The key principle: never fight emotion with logic. Logic alone cannot sway the fearful, calm the enraged, or comfort the desperate. Emotions respond to other emotions. If someone is angry, a calm presence allows their fury to exhaust itself. If someone is fearful, reassurance builds confidence. If someone craves respect, acknowledgement strengthens loyalty. Machiavelli knew that influence flows through emotion, not argument. Controlled influence also relies on timing. Emotion is like a river, its current strong and unpredictable. You do not dam it forcibly, you channel it. A single well-timed word, gesture, or pause can redirect a crowd, a conversation, or an individual. Impulsive reactions, on the other hand, are wasted energy. The strategist waits for the moment when influence is most effective, allowing the natural force of emotion to work in his favor. The art of influence also demands subtlety. The most effective manipulation is invisible. People should feel that their decisions and feelings are their own, even when guided by your hand. You do not coerce, you lead. A smile here, a pause there, a nod or a carefully chosen phrase, all appear natural to them, but each serves a purpose. Influence becomes a performance, invisible yet undeniably effective. Machiavelli emphasized that the ruler must always appear humane and compassionate, yet be ready to act otherwise if necessary. This principle extends to emotional influence. You project warmth, empathy, or indignation when it benefits your strategy. You conceal frustration, desire, or doubt when it would weaken your position. Emotion is no longer a spontaneous reaction. It is a tool, a language you speak fluently. Mastering this art requires constant observation and refinement. Study patterns of behavior. Note how people react under stress, in joy, or when challenged. Learn to predict their choices before they consciously make them. And as you practice, you notice a profound shift. Your presence begins to shape events before a word is spoken, before an action is taken. The room, the conversation, the environment bends subtly to your rhythm. Finally, emotional influence depends on restraint. Excessive manipulation breaks trust and exposes intent. Small, deliberate, well-measured interventions are far more effective than forceful attempts to control. Less is always more. A well-timed glance, a pause before responding, a measured gesture, these carry weight beyond words. Observation, detachment, composure, influence, each builds upon the other. But there is one final stage in mastery, emotional transcendence, where control, influence, and awareness fuse, and power becomes effortless, invisible, and absolute. Observation, detachment, composure, and influence form the foundation of mastery. But the ultimate level is emotional transcendence, the state in which emotion exists, but it no longer controls you. Here power is effortless. Presence alone moves people, guides outcomes, and commands respect. Machiavelli's most successful leaders reached this level. They were unreadable yet magnetic, calm yet decisive, fully human yet untouchable. Transcendence is not the absence of feeling. On the contrary, it requires full awareness of every emotion, anger, desire, fear, joy, and the discipline to harness each one as energy, not reaction. A flash of anger becomes focus. A pang of fear becomes vigilance. A surge of desire becomes strategic ambition. Every feeling is acknowledged, processed, and stored until it can be deployed with maximum effect. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is uncontrolled. At this stage, external chaos cannot disturb you. Insults slide off. Criticism does not break you. Betrayal passes like wind through the trees. Praise inflates new ego. You are the unmoving center, the eye of the hurricane around which everything spins. Others look to you without knowing why. Your calm becomes their standard. Your restraint becomes law. They instinctively measure themselves against your stillness and act according to it. Emotional transcendence also demands constant vigilance against the enemy within. Your greatest threat is not the world, but yourself. Fatigue, ego, doubt, and attachment. Every lapse in awareness can allow impulse to take control. That is why transcendence is a daily practice. Rituals, solitude, reflection, and careful control of attention preserve clarity when chaos presses close. Without this discipline, even a master can fall prey to their own mind. In transcendence, your presence becomes influence itself. You no longer need to manipulate subtly, because others naturally respond to your energy. Conversations shift around you. Decisions align with your rhythm. Rooms quiet when you enter. People orient themselves toward your composure without a word being spoken. Influence becomes effortless because it arises from the deep integration of observation, detachment, and composure. Machiavelli emphasized that fortune favors those who appear constant. In a volatile world, stability inspires confidence. The transcendent mind embodies this principle. You are the steady point that others measure against. When everyone else reacts impulsively, you act deliberately. When others falter, you move with precision. When others are consumed by passion, your calm becomes the magnet that directs the course of events. Emotional transcendence is also the art of controlled presence. You remain fully engaged, fully human, yet unreadable. You can display warmth, empathy, or anger when it serves purpose, and conceal them when it does not. Emotion is no longer spontaneous, it is functional. You feel deeply, but your face, voice, and posture reveal only what is necessary to achieve your goals. Finally, transcendence transforms influence into legacy. You no longer chase control. Control follows you. You no longer react to events. Events unfold around your will. You do not impose force. You direct the rhythm of others' lives effortlessly. Emotion is your tool, not your master. The room, the conversation, the world itself bends subtly to your presence, and yet no one can pinpoint exactly why. Emotional transcendence is the ultimate mastery, but there is still one final principle that separates the strategist from the ordinary: the theater of emotion, the skill of shaping what others see, feel, and believe, while remaining fully in control. This is the final stage of Machiavellian mastery, where perception becomes power. Even at the highest level of emotional transcendence, there remains one skill that separates the true strategist from the ordinary: the theater of emotion. This is the art of shaping what others see, feel, and believe, while remaining fully in control of your own inner world. Machiavelli recognized that humans are guided as much by perception as by reality. Those who master the stage of emotion wield power that is subtle, unstoppable, and invisible. The theater of emotion begins with intentional expression. Every smile, sigh, gesture, or glance is deliberate. Nothing is accidental. You are no longer merely responding to events. You are directing them. Your audience, Whether a single adversary or a room full of people interprets your expressions as reality, even when they are carefully measured performances. In this theater, appearance is strategy. Here, emotion becomes instrumental. Anger can intimidate when shown at the right moment, but it is measured and purposeful. Kindness can earn loyalty, but it is given deliberately. Vulnerability can inspire trust, but it is feigned with precision. The strategic display of emotion transforms ordinary interaction into a dance of influence. People do not see manipulation. They see authenticity, or at least what they perceive as authenticity. Timing is the lifeblood of the theater. Emotional display is most effective when carefully synchronized with context. Too early, and it reveals your intent before advantage is secured. Too late, and the opportunity passes. A single gesture at the right moment can change the trajectory of an interaction, a negotiation, or a conflict. Machiavelli understood that those who mastered timing became masters of events. The theater also relies on pattern and predictability in unpredictability. The audience must feel grounded, but never fully certain. You allow glimpses of warmth, flashes of passion, or moments of humor, all seemingly natural, but always orchestrated. Each gesture is like a note in a symphony. When timed and measured perfectly, it evokes the intended response without revealing the conductor. Observation remains critical. While performing, the strategist continues to read the audience. Microexpressions, tone, and body language reveal their reactions. Each subtle adjustment informs the next movement. The theater of emotion is dynamic. It evolves with the people around you. The performer is also the observer, constantly refining and adapting. Machiavelli emphasized that perception often outweighs reality. A ruler who appears compassionate, decisive, and composed holds power, even if privately conflicted or uncertain. In the theater, this principle translates directly. You may feel deeply, even turbulently, inside, but the outside world sees exactly what you choose them to see. Others follow not your truth, but your performance. But beware, overacting destroys credibility. Excessive display, poorly timed emotion, or inconsistent patterns alert observers to manipulation. The theater is subtle. Less is more. Each movement should feel natural, effortless, and convincing. The most powerful performers are those who make mastery appear instinctive. Finally, the theater of emotion transforms influence into art. You are not merely acting. You are creating a reality for others to inhabit. Your calm becomes their anchor. Your controlled anger their caution. Your measured warmth their loyalty. Through this theater, the strategist moves without force, governs without command, and achieves without struggle. The theater of emotion is mastery in motion, but the strategist's ultimate strength lies within, in the unseen, unshakable calm that commands the world before a single gesture is made. Next, we uncover the hidden force behind every successful Machiavellian strategy. All the strategies, masks, and performances culminate in one ultimate principle: the calm that commands. This is the invisible force that underlies all influence, the stillness that shapes events without effort, and the presence that moves people even before a word is spoken. Machiavelli knew that those who can remain unshaken, unprovoked, and unwavering in the face of chaos wield authority that no army or weapon can match. Calm is not indifference, nor is it a lack of feeling. It is emotional mastery in action. The storms of anger, fear, desire, or excitement may rage inside, but the strategist remains the eye of that storm. Outwardly, the world sees focus, clarity, and unshakable control. Inside, every emotion is acknowledged, measured, and stored, ready to be transformed into energy at the precise moment it is needed. The power of calm lies in its effect on others. People instinctively mirror the emotional state of those around them. In a heated argument, the one who stays steady controls the tempo. When panic spreads, calm anchors. When fury erupts, stillness disarms. The strategist's composure becomes a magnet. It subtly dictates the behavior of everyone else in the room. Calmness is contagious, and those who cannot maintain it will unconsciously adjust to it, giving the composed individual an effortless dominance. Machiavelli emphasized that fortune favors the steady, because in a world of volatility, stability inspires confidence. Those who panic or overreact reveal vulnerability. Those who are erratic invite opposition and manipulation. The calm strategist, however, embodies certainty, giving the impression that their judgment is unshakable. This presence is the silent form of power. No words, no action, just poise that commands obedience and respect. Developing this calm requires internal discipline, daily rituals, deliberate breathing, reflection, and the practice of patience train the nervous system to resist instinctive reactions. When provoked, you pause. When insulted, you observe. When challenged, you measure your response. Every delay, every careful choice strengthens the habit of composure. Until calm is no longer a performance, it becomes identity. True calm also requires integration with influence and observation. The strategist is always aware of the environment, the people, and the emotional currents, but without being pulled into them. They are fully engaged, yet fully untouchable. Their presence is a reference point, a standard of stability. People rely on it without realizing it. Their decisions, their actions, even their feelings bend subtly to the calm axis at the center. Yet calm is not static. It is dynamic and responsive, not frozen. The strategist adjusts subtly, shifts tone or gesture when necessary, but never loses the anchor of presence. This allows for both empathy and authority, warmth and firmness, influence and detachment. Calmness is not merely the absence of emotion, it is its precise control and transformation into authority. The calm that commands also prepares the strategist for the unseen enemy, the self. Most failures in leadership and influence come not from others, but from the inability to regulate one's own impulses. The calm strategist constantly monitors the internal battlefield, converts internal turbulence into insight, and prevents emotion from undermining strategy. Every second of self-control amplifies power externally. Calm is mastery, but even mastery has a battlefield, the enemy within. Next, we explore Part 8, The Enemy Within, revealing the subtle internal struggles that threaten control and the techniques to conquer them fully. Even the most composed, observant, and influential strategist faces a threat far more dangerous than any rival, the enemy within. This is the internal battlefield where doubt, fear, pride, and impulse wage constant war. Machiavelli understood that external chaos is secondary. The first and most critical conquest is over one's own mind. Without mastery here, no mask, no influence, and no calm can protect you. The enemy within manifests subtly, a flicker of anger at an insult, a pang of jealousy at someone else's success, or the surge of desire that clouds judgment, all are tiny rebellions that, if unchecked, can unravel strategy. While others focus on external threats, the wise strategist knows that unseen internal impulses often dictate the outcomes of all external conflicts. A moment of rashness can undo months of careful planning. A single misjudged reaction can reveal weakness to the world. Conquering the enemy begins with awareness. The strategist must map their emotional landscape with precision. What triggers anger? What words wound pride? What situations tempt impulsive action? These are not weaknesses to be shamed or denied. They are vulnerabilities to understand, observe, and ultimately control. Knowledge of the self is the first weapon in this battle. The second step is detachment. Emotion is observed as energy passing through the mind, not as a directive to act. Anger is a storm. Fear is fog. Desire is fire. Watching them without immediate reaction creates a space where choice exists. The strategist does not suppress emotion. Suppression is fragile and temporary. Instead, he transforms it into fuel. Anger becomes focus. Fear becomes vigilance. Desire becomes calculated ambition. The enemy loses power when it cannot provoke action. Ritual and discipline strengthen this inner command. Solitude, reflection, measured breathing, and deliberate pacing train the mind to resist distraction and internal chaos. The strategist builds habits that preserve clarity under pressure. Fatigue, overstimulation, or emotional overwhelm are the allies of the enemy within. By protecting attention and cultivating focus, the strategist ensures that internal storms never become external vulnerabilities. Yet vigilance alone is insufficient. The enemy within also tests through repetition and subtle deception. Old patterns resurface, impulses reappear, and unnoticed triggers accumulate. The strategist treats these not as failures but as lessons. A missed pause, an unmeasured reaction, a lapse in composure, each becomes data to refine control. Mastery is iterative, continuous, and self-reflective. Finally, the strategist learns integration. Emotional mastery, influence, composure, and performance are only meaningful when the self is disciplined. The internal court, the dialogue between desire, fear, and reason, must obey strategy. When the enemy within is subdued, every external action flows effortlessly from a mind that is unshakable. You no longer fight impulses, you direct them. You no longer react to chaos, you orchestrate it. The ultimate victory over the enemy within is subtle yet profound. Those who attempt to dominate others without first mastering themselves are slaves to their internal turbulence. The strategist, by contrast, becomes the calm eye in the storm, untouched by the flurry of emotions that unsettle everyone else. From this position, the world bends naturally to their presence. Influence becomes effortless, and power becomes invisible but undeniable. The internal battlefield conquered, the strategist reaches the final stage, where mastery becomes effortless, perception becomes power, and the ultimate authority emerges unseen, unchallenged, and absolute. At last, we arrive at the pinnacle of mastery, the stillness of command. This is the state where all previous lessons converge: observation, detachment, emotional control, influence, transcendence, and the theater of emotion, into a singular force. The strategist no longer acts. The world responds to his presence. Machiavelli understood that the ultimate ruler, The one whose authority is unchallenged does not need to shout, threaten, or persuade. His stillness alone commands obedience, respect, and attention. Stillness is not emptiness. It is concentration, energy, and readiness. The strategist feels every emotion, every impulse, yet none can escape to disrupt action. Anger is acknowledged, fear is understood, desire is mapped, all are tamed, stored, and available for use at the exact moment advantage demands. In stillness, emotion becomes a reservoir of power, not a source of weakness. Every thought, every gesture, every pause carries purpose. The power of stillness is amplified by the unpredictability of human reaction. When others expect eruption, you remain calm. When they anticipate excitement, you remain silent. When they hope for indulgence, you exercise restraint. This creates a psychological advantage so profound that opponents, allies, and onlookers alike respond first to your steadiness, then to your words or actions. They begin to align themselves with your rhythm, often without realizing it. Machiavelli emphasized that those who control perception control reality. Stillness is the ultimate form of perception management. Your calm radiates authority. Your restraint becomes a measure of power. Your presence stabilizes allies and unsettles adversaries. In every interaction, the strategist is the reference point. The room shifts, decisions bend, and influence flows effortlessly because people unconsciously mirror the stability they sense in you. Yet stillness requires constant maintenance. It is not achieved once and retained forever. Every insult, every provocation, every unexpected challenge is a test of inner equilibrium. Rituals, reflection, and discipline ensure that composure does not degrade into complacency. Even in victory, the strategist exercises patience and quiet celebration. Even in defeat, he maintains focus and calm. The stillness is a practice, not a static trait. The ultimate strategist also knows that stillness is invisible power. Others may see composure. They rarely understand its depth. The calm eye, the measured gesture, the quiet pause. These are the tools of command. They are subtle, yet their effect is monumental. People may not know why they obey, trust, or fear, but they instinctively do. Influence becomes effortless because it arises from the alignment of internal mastery and external presence. Stillness also creates dependence without coercion. The unsteady rely on your steadiness. The impulsive are guided by your restraint. The anxious look to you for stability. From this dependence comes loyalty, trust, and subtle authority. Unlike fear or force, stillness compels naturally. People act in accordance with your rhythm because they need it to navigate their own uncertainty. Finally, the stillness of command is the ultimate synthesis of Machiavellian mastery. It is where strategy, emotion, perception, and presence fuse into effortless authority. You no longer chase control, it follows you. You no longer react. The world responds. You do not need to perform constantly. Your existence alone exerts influence. You are calm, collected, and magnetic, a silent architect shaping events with precision, patience, and purpose. This is the final stage. The strategist who has mastered himself, the enemy within, the theater of emotion, and the rhythms of human behavior. He is unreadable, influential, and unstoppable. From this stillness, power is absolute, effortless, and invisible. You do not command with noise, fury, or force. You command because you have become the calm center of the storm, the fixed point around which the world turns.